I absolutely love hearing all of the awesome conversations going on this morning. Networking is a big part of what all of this is about. Relationship building is key as we're here together this morning. So thank you all for making it through the rain. Not going to complain. A little spring rain and is a beautiful thing. I will take that over snow any day. So thank you guys for being here this morning. We're so glad that you're here. Also want to give a shout out to our online attendees this morning. We've got about 10 joining us virtually as well. So thank you all again for being here. My name is Britt Delo. I am the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives with the West Coast Chamber and have had the privilege of serving on the team for almost 9 years. You might notice I'm a stand-in today. Usually our President and CEO, Jody Ozarski, is up here on stage. I just want to give her a quick shout out. She is out in DC, part of the U.S. Chamber Committee of 100. Out of thousands of chamber CEOs, she was selected as one of those 100 to be out there representing our organization, our community as a whole. So let's hear it for Jody and thank her for the awesome work that she's doing. Also want to highlight, we've got some new members scrolling on the page here. We've been welcoming a ton of new members to the Chamber community. So be sure to take a look at this list. If you happen to know someone on this list, reach out, give them a call, shoot them an email, welcome them to our Chamber community. Also want to pause for a moment and thank all of our incredible sponsors this morning. We could not do the work that we do and host things like this without our incredible sponsors. So you may have noticed a new setup this morning. We have a coffee connector sponsor, and we want to thank Landscape Design Services, Matt Baker and his team. Please join me in thanking Matt and his crew. We also have a morning mingle sponsor set up just out in the networking area there. Let's thanks to Sarah Boss and the team at United Bank. Let's hear it for them. And then finally, I am joined by our program sponsor this morning, Nick Reister with Smith Hoy Rice and Rogie. And we're just going to take a few minutes to chat here and hear a little bit from Nick and a little bit about Smith Hoy. So, Nick, thank you for being here this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, absolutely. So, Nick, Smith Hoy has been very actively engaged in the Chamber for a long time. So why does your team choose to do that?
Well, it's the business community are our clients, right? And as a firm, we're a business, and we want to invest. We want to give back. We want to. Our business itself is advocacy for our clients, and so the Chamber is a natural way to continue that.
Awesome. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
What would you say makes Smith Hoy unique? What kind of sets you apart from other
culture.
organizations?
Our culture is amazing.
Yeah.
We've been around. Yeah, we've been around for about 85 years.
Wow.
4 offices around the state, and the culture is what's let us endure. And we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary here in Holland. Great folks on the team.
You have some team members here today,
yeah, we do.
Right?
We have several in the house and several online. So shout out to those guys, ladies. But it's the culture. It's the good people. We care about our clients. We care about ourselves, about each other. And it shows. And I think it provides a lot of gravity. People want to be around folks that love what they're doing.
Absolutely. That energy draws people in, for sure. Why do you feel it's important to invest in the Lakeshore community here? You've been here 10 years locally, so why is that important?
I mean, this is a special area, right? There's no mistaking that.
I might be biased, but yes.
Well, as an import, I came from the Lansing area. I came by way of Hope and fell in love with the Lakeshore, and so just wanting to continue developing what we have here and save it for future generations.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's on the horizon? What's exciting, fun, any projects in the pipeline?
Well, we obviously have to be a little discreet about
what
we share, attorney-client stuff, but we're very active and very involved with different nonprofits around town. ODC Network, Benjamin's Hope, Good Sam, you name it. Yeah. And any of those names, you know that there's good, exciting stuff. So the other thing that I'm particularly excited about is we just added 2 more attorneys.
Oh, great.
One of them starts tomorrow, so pretty soon they'll be coming to these breakfasts too. But we continue to grow. We continue to have fun. That's what we're excited about.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thank you. Thank you to you and your team for investing in our community, for showing up in ways like this.
Yeah.
It truly makes a difference. So
thank you.
Please join me in thanking Nick and the Smith Hoy team. Thank you. All right, now we're going to get back to a little bit of networking. So at your tables, we are just going to take a few minutes here. If you could go around and share your name, your organization, and what you're looking forward to most this spring. Get to know each other a little bit. Make sure you give everyone a chance to get around the table and chat. So go ahead, enjoy. All right, so I am very excited to introduce you to this morning's speaker. He believes that leadership starts with how we show up. He was just talking about how important it is to be present, especially in the moments that matter the most. David Vandermolen is a leadership coach, speaker, and founder of Inspired to Change, where he helps individuals and teams lead with clarity, courage, and true intention. Through powerful stories and practical insight, David challenges us to listen a little bit differently, to communicate more effectively, and to lead with greater awareness in a really noisy world. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to our speaker this morning, David Vandermolen. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you. Before I start, I just want to quickly say how much I have appreciated West Coast Chamber and the impact you've had on my organization and in this community. And as you can see, one of the icons for our organization, Inspired to Change, is the light bulb. And you guys are stars for us and for all of us in West Michigan, are they not? Thank you. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I remember it like it happened yesterday, but it was 25 years ago. I was, a pretty savvy learning and development specialist sitting in the back of the room in a conference room going through a course on communication. I was, watching this 20-something female facilitator who was going to teach me about communication. Now, this is not something I'm proud of. But in that moment, in that time, in the back of that classroom, I remember thinking to myself, what has she got to teach me? Well, as I began to listen, as I began to engage in this experience, this young lady taught and she demonstrated to me this other world kind of learning and listening in a way that I had just never heard before. Her ability to listen and the way she modeled that in the classroom rocked my world. I realized just how poor of a listener I was. I mean, I was shocked. Little did I know that insight that she shared, her modeling of listening, her teaching of listening, would be the thing that transformed my relationships, improved my ability to connect, and literally changed the course of my career. For all of my inappropriate thoughts in that moment, I owe so much to that young lady and her capacity to train and to teach me how to listen. And I say it in the sense of who would have guessed? I have been teaching listening for a really long time. I think most of my friends and my family would say, and my colleagues and my clients would say, I'm pretty good at listening. I've developed those skills. I learned how to listen. I learned how to teach people how to listen. And then I began to teach people how to teach people how to listen. I think indirectly, I have probably impacted about 10,000 people, somewhere in that range, when it comes to listening. It has been something that has altered my life. Does this make sense? All right. What you should know, and what I'll talk about, is I am the least likely person in this room to be good at listening. And to explain that, let me unpack why. Let me tell you my alphabet soup. I am, born a male. I don't need to say any more. You got it. Stereotypically speaking, men are not known to be the best in listening. When you add to that, I'm also a Gen Xer. But not just your average Gen Xer, a Gen Xer who was born to parents who were in the silent generation. I lived in West Michigan in an enclave of folks like us, and I learned, well, that you're supposed to basically be, well, seen and not heard. When you add to my M and my X that in terms of behavioral tendency, I'm a high I and a high D, the core psychological need of a high I is to be loved. The core psychological need of a high D is to be in control. So I move through the world looking to be loved and to be in control. I'm a teller. I don't ask, I tell. And I's and D's are not known for listening. So I'm an M, I'm an X, I'm an I, I'm a D, and I'm ADHD. Now, this is why I talk about my alphabet soup. Because I have learned how to listen. I teach people to listen, and it has made the greatest difference in my life. It's unquestionable. It's given me such advantage. And I am the most listened, challenged person in this room. And so I'm telling you that as I've traveled around the world teaching people this, the one thing that I would say, the one thing that comes out for me to share with you is if I can learn how to listen, certainly you can too. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about this and how it all comes together. Let me begin by saying this, that listening is a skill. It's a skill like you learn how to balance a checkbook, write a check. I remember in elementary school learning how to do an envelope to send snail mail. These are basic life skills that we can learn, but the problem is most of us have never learned how to do these skills. We're in a land where learning how to listen is something that's not really taught. How many of you remember speech class? Of course. How many of you remember learning how to do the envelope, put the stamp on, and maybe in 5th grade walk down to that mailbox and yeah, we all learn how to do that. I remember learning how to tie my shoes. My mother taught me. I think I was about 18, and no, but she did, right? But I remember those basic life lessons. But here's what's happening. I didn't learn how to do listening. Nobody ever taught me. Much like you, I probably just assumed, well, I know how. I'll just, listen and adopt the habits and traits of the people around me. But I learned there's something great more to listening than just that. Here's the reality. How many of you think in a room of 150 people, which that's what we have here, how many are adept at listening? 5. I love that. It's not quite that, but here's what the studies show. In a room of 150 people, 20 are adept at listening, which basically is a little over 3 tables in this room. Of those 20, 12 are women. Which, by the way, when we think about women in leadership today, there is no wonder why we're seeing an expansion in women in leadership, because listening is so critical in the role of leading. Why aren't people good at listening? Well, part of it is because none of us have been taught. We haven't acquired the skill. But I want to give you 3 other things to consider when we talk about this idea of why most of us in this room don't listen very well. The first one is listening is really hard work. Check this out. James Hunter, in his book, The World's Most Powerful Leadership Principle, talks about empathetic listening. Is the skill, the discipline of extending yourself for others by really working to see it as they see it, to feel it as they feel it. It requires kicking all the noise and chatter in your mind out and getting yourselves fully present for what is being said. Empathetic listening is hard work and requires a great deal of effort. When I teach a course on listening and spend 8 hours doing that, I am never tired from the talking. I'm never tired from engaging with people. You know what wipes me out? I spent an entire 8 hours listening to an audience. 8 hours. And I am just drained because listening is really hard work. So not only are we not trained, it's incredibly hard, and listening is also counterintuitive. When you think about what really happens when we're listening, our brains are hardwired. They're designed to see the problem, solve the problem, and quickly move on. And listening plays a very small piece in that role. Korn Ferry, many of you use them as a research and assistance in your human resources and learning development. They talk about that kind of listening is difficult to master in part because it's not at odds with today's phonetically multitasking, information overloaded, distracted driven world, but perhaps more importantly because it runs counter to the way our brains have evolved to work. We struggle to listen because it's counterintuitive to our problem-solving need. Our brains want to quickly go to the solution and not actually listen. Anybody know what I'm talking about here? Yeah, for sure. As well, why aren't people good listeners? Because listening is other-centric. Now stop and think about that for a moment. Real listening, empathetic, reflective listening, is not about you. It's about the other. And in this book by Lisa Kleypas, in her book Married by Morning, she talks about everyone striving to be witty and sought after. Everyone is talking and no one is listening. And she's doing a historical novel talking about the aristocrat elite. And today we have that same thing, but it's us, the technocrats, us who are, well, so tied to our social media and so focused on our own interests. There's a word that was created in 2012 called anadoki. Say it with me, anadoki. Oh, that's poor. Say it with me, anadoki. Anadoki. It means everyone talking, no one listening. Think about that. A term was coined, came into being, and kind of spread virally that expressed the nature of what's going on in our world today. Everyone's talking. No one is listening. And that seems to be our fate. Again, I've had the privilege of being in Singapore, Malaysia. I've traveled to India. I've been in the islands in Trinidad and Barbados. I've worked in the nonprofit world. I have worked in family-owned businesses. I have worked at big enterprises. I've been in conference rooms, classrooms, and boardrooms around the globe, and there is one thing that I find over and over again. It's this. People overestimate their ability to listen effectively, and they woefully underestimate how their inability to listen hampers organizational performance, teams, and harms their most intimate relationships. Most of us perceive we're somewhere here in this room. But here's the reality. My experience would say that's where most of us fall. And that's a pretty big gap between what we perceive and what's actually true. Does this make sense? Now, I share this with you because I think listening is such a critical skill to learn. It's vital for all of us. Take a minute and think with me here. I'm going to teleport you into day 2 of a class I teach called The Course. It's a 3-day immersive experience. It's all about interpersonal communication. We're starting day 2, and day 2 is the listening day. And before I begin teaching on day 2, now, mind you, we have been together for day 1, and I know you, and you know me. We've joked, we've had a great time in class, so we're familiar with each other. I begin day 2 with my speech before my speech, and I talk about 3 things. The first thing I share with everyone is this. Today is heavy lifting day. Yesterday, we were moving lampshades and pillows. Today, we're taking the piano and the treadmill out of the basement. It's going to be a lot of hard work. Today will be a challenging day on listening day. And then I talk about, at a certain point along the way here, you're going to become, well, probably in the next 45 minutes, you're going to become personally vexed with me. What a fun word to say, vexed. You're going to be vexed with me. As a matter of fact, there's going to be a point where you're likely going to really dislike me. And it's going to happen in about 45 minutes. And I set this up and share this with everyone because I want to lay the playing field. I want to make sure everyone understands what to expect. I want to give everyone the opportunity to win today. And of course, once I share this, and I do it in a sobering way, everyone in the room kind of says, that's interesting. And then any questions? And of course, hands fly up. And I field a few questions. And then I still have looks like I'm having in the room right now, with people looking at me going like, what do you mean? What's going to happen? And then I do something, well, really crazy. I share the agenda. And I say, here's what's going to be happening today. 3 things. I'm going to show you how to listen. I'm going to tell you how to listen. I'm going to model it. I'm going to teach it. And then you're going to practice it. And in that teaching, I'm going to spend a lot of time, about 5 hours, showing and telling. And then you're going to take about 2 hours and you're going to practice. Easy peasy. Super simple. What I don't tell them, but I'll tell you, is that about 2 hours of that 5 hours of teaching, I'm telling them what listening is not. Just like I'm telling you right now. And I say, this is what listening is not. And what occurs is what we refer to in the learning and development field as a disruptive dilemma begins to unfold. And a disruptive dilemma is one of those things that happens when what you're hearing doesn't register. When what you perceive to be true, someone pulls the carpet out from underneath you. When your ideas and beliefs get significantly challenged and you find that you have, not as many options as you thought, and things you held dear become, they start to crumble in your hand. This is called a disruptive dilemma. It's intentional, it's powerful, and it creates a breakthrough like I have never seen before with people. What's funny is it happens in a slide deck of 140 slides. It happens over 4 slides. 45 minutes to 2 hours of discussion over 4 slides. And it's a quiz, and 2 of them the same. And you think, how can you spend that much time talking about what listening is not? I could tell you about it, or how about we try it? Would you like to? Okay, I'd like that too. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a series of statements, and we're going to simultaneously all kind of weigh in. You'll say true, false, or situational. And you'll give me that cue when I drop my hand, right? You'll either say true, false, or situational. Now, because I'm a little not confident, and you guys know what I'm talking about yet, we're going to practice. So I'm going to make a statement, and then you're going to either say true, false, or situational when I drop my hand. You ready? Here we go. David believes listening has radically changed his life and leadership. True. That's exactly it. I love it. You got it? Now, let me give you the question I bring to class and the question I want to bring to you right now. Here we go. When I listen to others to help them with their problems, I tend to offer them advice on how to solve the problem. That's a little weak. Let's try it again. Offer them advice on how to solve the problem. Okay. When I listen to others to help them with their problems, I tend to sympathize with them by sharing a similar story. Okay. When I listen to others to help them with their problems, I tend to ask questions to resolve the problem. Wow, you guys are good. When I listen to others to help them with their problems, I tend to offer them reassurance in the midst of their problem. Okay. Now, Let me just alter the question a little bit. When I listen to others, it is helpful to them with their problem. To help them, it's helpful to do these things. Now, I'm going to post the statements. Would you like the answer key? Anybody know what it is? Every one of those behaviors are false. Now, listen to that. I'll spend 2 hours over that slide because I'll have a lot of people in the room go, now wait a minute. And it's a crazy experience that happens. I'll have people over here collude with people over here against me in the middle of the class. The resistance to this idea that none of these things are even helpful, some of them are even harmful, the level of resistance goes up. People start doing this. I get heads tilted, and they're looking at me kind of sideways. You can feel people, I've had people plead with me, tears. No, this does work, and here's why. Over and over again. I've done this everywhere around the world. Same thing, doesn't matter the group. And I get all kinds of relentless pushback. I remember once being in a classroom with a 3-star general, Marine Corps general, who had retired, and the way he looked at me, I was like, okay, maybe I should change my answer. He really, because in his mind, no, this is wrong. These are true. But the reality is, none of them are. None of these are helpful, and some of these can even be hurtful. Let me explain some more. These are actually referred to as the 4 anti-listening behaviors. They're not listening at all. They're the 4 anti-listening behaviors. These statements have nothing whatsoever to do with listening. As a matter of fact, the undesirable effects of these anti-listening actions are listed here. Let me take a minute and tell you about 2 of them. Steals the ownership of the conversation. When I'm listening to somebody who's having a problem, and I share my story that was similar to their story, you know what happens? The ownership of the conversation shifts. The person who has the problem is no longer sharing their problem. I have now taken over, and guess who's talking? Me, not them. I now have converted their problem into my talk. And they're not in their thinking mode to process it. They're in a listening mode to me now. The second one here, in bold, it derails people's problem-solving process. Let me see. Nick, can you help me with this? All right. Where'd you get that coat? Did you buy it? Is that polyester or cotton? What is that? Wool. Oh, nice. Is it comfortable? Okay. Can I ask you a couple more questions? Were you thinking about your coat about 30 seconds ago? You sure? We are, all of us. We're all looking at that coat. And you are right now. But you weren't 30 seconds ago. All I did was ask a benign question. And what happens is, it's like you reach in and you grab the person's brain, the groove of the thinking they're in, and you pull them out of that groove to put them in whose groove? Mine. And the simple thing of asking a question pauses people's ability to process their problem. They now have to process my question. And they're not working out their problem. But we think that makes sense. And so that's what we do. And so if these things don't work, and you can see why people give me a lot of resistance, and why it takes a lot of time to process this, because it's so ingrained in us. It begs the question, well, how do I help people who are having a problem? What do I do? How does it work? If none of that is right, what makes sense? Well, I want to offer you the 3 people-helping habits. Here they are. If you truly want to help a person who's having a problem, and this is on your handout in front of you, you want to offer acceptance, express empathy, and you want to practice listening. I'm going to take a second and unpack these 3, A little bit more emphasis on the listening. Sound good? All right. When I talk about this idea of offer acceptance, express empathy, and practice listening, it's probably important to keep in mind that I can do so much to be helpful to the people in my span of care if, in fact, I just offer them acceptance and express empathy. I don't even have to get to listening. It takes me way downrange. But the reality is, most of the time when we're listening, we're not even offering people that. So let's unpack those three. This idea of offering acceptance. Acceptance is to see and to be okay with where a person is at in that moment. Remember, when someone comes to me with a problem that they're expressing, I only have three options. Only three. I can agree with them. Oh, yeah, I can see why you're upset. He's always been that way. You should have divorced him a long time ago. Agree. I can disagree. That's crazy. He's not like that. What are you thinking? Or I can accept. Here's what I would say to you about acceptance. I think it's easier to love than it is to accept. Acceptance is hard. This is why listening is hard. Because I have to accept where that person's at in that moment. In a sense, I'm giving them grace and space to be right where they're at. I don't need you to change. I don't need you to be any different. Just be who you are right now with your problem. I'm okay that you're not okay. I don't need to sound off. I don't need to feed my need. I'm going to connect with you right where you're at. And then I want to offer that person, I want to express empathy to them. And empathy is to see it as they see it, to feel it as they feel it. When I talk about this idea of expressing empathy, I always think if I'm going to be helping Marcella with her problem, I want to create a bubble around me and her, this space of empathy and connection, so I can connect with you, a real person with a real problem, to help you sort that out. I'm going to offer acceptance first. I'm okay with where you're at. I don't need to change you. I'm going to express that empathy bubble to give you that grace and space, that place for us to process it together. And then I'm going to practice listening. In listening, and really important to keep in mind, listening isn't doing nothing. It's doing something very specific. But it's no advice. It's no questions. It's no reassurance. It's no stories. And this is where the rub comes in. What do you mean? What do you do then? If I can't give advice, if I can't ask, what? And that's where we get stuck. That's where the confusion sets in. It's I don't know what to do next. What do I do? And there's basically 5 things I want to do very specifically. The first is attending behavior. I want to attend to you. In a sense, I want to say I'm fully present with you. I want then to acknowledge that person. In the acknowledgement, what I want to say is this: yes. Uh-huh. Go on. Yes. Yes. I'm giving verbal cues to that person that I am tuned in to them. The third thing I may wish to offer them are door opening statements. Encouragements to keep talking. Things like, I want to hear about that. Tell me more. Please share. I like what I'm hearing. Go on. Notice none of those end with a question mark. They're just statements. By the way, when someone's experiencing a problem and you ask a question, they perceive the problem differently than when they're in a non-problematic state. The question seems threatening, like interrogation. I will ask you the questions. Very different experience when people are experiencing a problem. So statements just encourage them to talk. This third one here, silence, quieting of the mind and the voice so they can share, which basically means stop talking. Shut up. Don't speak. Let them speak. And the quieting of the mind. I'll come back to that in a moment. If I do these first 4 habits, if I do these behaviors, the first 4, what happens, I'm set up to do the last one. And the last one is to send back the facts and feelings that they just sent me, to reflectively respond. I'll let them know, I heard your facts, and here's the feelings accompanying that. Now, there's a whole list here of kind of the process. It's on there for you to look at as a reference, but I want to highlight that fourth one as a way of really bringing it forward. This idea of silence, quieting the mind and quieting the voice. It's actually pretty easy to quiet the voice. Guess what's not easy? Quieting the mind. When I first began to listen, starting in that conference room at the back of the room, and over the years, I picked up something that was helpful to me. I learned a little thing in the silence behavior that made a difference, and I'll share it with you today. When I'm listening to you, as you're expressing your problem, what I'm going to do is clear the whiteboard in my mind. It's like I have a dry eraser marker, and as you are talking, I am erasing my thoughts, my advice, my feelings, my judgment, my experiences. I'm clearing the whiteboard in my mind so I can populate it, fill it with what? The facts and feelings you're experiencing. Once I started doing that, clearing the whiteboard, and so in many ways, I stopped thinking so I can start listening, I catch what's coming at me. And so when I get to the part in the listening where I can send back the facts and feelings, I can do it confidently. I can do it really clearly because I've caught with my listening net the facts and feelings you shared. When we do this, man, are we set up for the ability to actually listen to someone. Does this make sense? Clearing that whiteboard in our mind. Now, back to day 2 of the listening class. 5 hours of show and tell. 2 hours of practice. And in that practice, Matt, he'll play the role of being in the talking chair. Matt has a problem, and he's going to share it with this new novice listener, and I'll play the role of being in the listening chair. And I'll practice the 5 behaviors. And then we'll switch. And everyone in class gets to do that. And so everyone's kind of like, oh my gosh, I got to do this live. Yes, you do. And it's great. It's a good experience. A few folks in the room have been through it. What's really interesting and what I love is what people say about the experience. I always wrap it up by saying, okay, both of you were all in the listening chair and you were all in the talking chair. Now, think about your experience being in the talking chair and think about your experience being in the listening chair. And summarize that with one word. And I go around and collect all the words. This is what they say when they're in the listening chair. Awkward, weird, responsible, challenging, strenuous, strange, difficult, inadequate, intimidated, caring, clunky, hard. I was scrambled, sweaty. Now realize, all I'm asking them, what was it like to listen to someone? What was it like to listen to someone? Weird, awkward, sweaty. Okay? And it tells me something, and this happens almost every time. It tells me something about listening. Listening is something that it's foreign to us. It's not familiar. We don't know it. It's apart from us. That experience is just, well, it's foreign. Then I have people give me their single word, the summary of what it's like to be, well, what's it like when someone actually listens to you? What's that like? They say things like this: cared for, cathartic, helpful, vulnerable, heard, empowered. I felt loved. Some will say it's foreign, warm, productive. I was able to solve my problem right here in class. Clarifying, freedom, surprised. And often the word connected has a lot of check marks next to it. because a lot of people say that. Connected. Every one of the social and psychological causes of depression and anxiety they have discovered has something in common. They're all forms of disconnection. They're all forms of disconnection. And I go, yeah, I see it all the time. I see it all the time. Let me end with a really compelling story. I was teaching this course on listening in Aspen, Colorado. Of the 24 people in the room, one of the participants was a really high-powered alpha female realtor, and she was a shaker and mover in the community, an amazing woman. She was in class, and she took her homework assignment really serious. At the end of day 2, you go home, and you have to practice listening, because you have to report out in the beginning of day 3, did you crash and burn, or was it good? She took her homework seriously. On day 3, she reported this. I picked my daughter up from daycare, and we went home. And she says, I tried to get to listen to my daughter, and she would just bounce around, and didn't get a chance. But she finally, after dinner, she hopped up on the couch, and I sat next to her. Just, I really tried to listen. And she said, I kept nodding and encouraging her to talk. And, oh, man, was it hard not to talk. Like, I wanted to say so much. And she said she went on for 20 minutes chattering. And then I asked a question. Like, do you want to say more? And my daughter jumped up, bounced off the couch, and went to play in her bedroom. She told that story. Again, this is a pretty strong, pretty powerful woman, as the tears were flowing down her face. Because she said, in that 20 minutes, I learned more about my daughter than I think I've learned in the last 5 years. I listened to her. I saw into her, and she showed me who she is. Right there on their sofa. And it made all the difference in the world for her. In my experience, in a world that is wildly disconnected, in a world that is notorious for polarization, disconnection, and fostering all kinds of ill will, I can be a force of good in this world, an incredible force of good in this world, by just showing people how to listen and by listening to the people in my span of care. Here's my hope for you. I can't teach you to listen in 40 minutes. You might think I can, and you got the form, so you think you might be good. You're not. It takes a lot to change all the habits. But here's what I encourage you to do. Learn how to listen. Practice listening. Because for me, it has been my greatest advantage in life and in leadership. It has changed my relationships, my ability to connect, and my leadership. Who would have known in the back of a conference room as I sat there like this, how it would change the course of my life? It can for you too. So, follow me if you're inspired to change, and thank you for listening. Oh, sure.
We've got a couple minutes for questions. So, does anyone want to ask any questions of David while we have him here?
Don't be afraid. Yes.
So when the inevitable question answer comes in, what would you do? How would you handle it? Like, you know, when someone's explaining a problem, how much advice do you give when it's asked?
So if I hear you correctly, you're saying a person is asking me for advice directly, do I give it to them or not? How much should I give my own ideas or? Yeah. Anybody know what I'm doing? Yeah. And here's why I wouldn't. You have the answer in you. My job would be to listen long enough for you to find it. You realize that's the real difference there. It's not that, so we have this, oh, Aaron, you're having a problem. I see. Well, I'm glad you came to talk to me because you couldn't sort it out, but clearly I can. Now, none of us do that. But what? All of us do that. And so what I want to do is I want to be in a position where I'm really allowing you to work out your problem. That's what I'm doing. The resolution of the problem resides with the owner of the problem. So I want to hold off on my advice.
I can just yell too.
Sure.
So I guess my follow-up to that would be, do you set the tone when you're interacting with someone for the first time? Like, hey, I'm here to listen. I'm not going to offer advice, or is it just like an unknown?
Well, I have family in the room. They would tell me I don't do that, but they know I'm not going to give them advice. And I have clients who would probably do the same thing. I just don't do that. But I do think when you're learning and starting to listen, so this is what happens. People learn, they go to listening day, and then they go home to listen to the people in their span of care. And I always tell them, so look, you may want to let them know what you're doing here. And and some people are like, oh no, I'm going to surprise them. Well, good luck with that. Good. Because what's happening is people don't understand your behavior. Because for our entire life, we create learned helplessness. We create dependency that's unnecessary. And so people are expecting us to behave in a very specific way, and then we stop all that. And they're like, what are you doing? And then you're asking, you want to know what I'm doing? Yeah. Go on. And they go, what is this? And they go, stop that Jedi mind trick stuff. It happens all the time. And so I do think it does make sense. I've seen this quite a lot. Actually, it's been populated quite a lot on Instagram about, do you want information? Do you want to listen? Do you want, in kind of clarifying the front end? I think that's a good idea. But I'm going to default almost always to saying, I'm going to hold off on my advice. Because that's my advice, not yours. And then I have to convince you that my advice is better than what's getting in your head. That's hard work.
Time for one more.
Oh, I see that hand.
Back in the beginning, you mentioned listening is a perishable skill. What do you mean by that?
Oh, thank you for asking. So just like golf, if you don't practice golf, when you show back up on, you haven't practiced, like you're going to have a rough day. Just like if you're at the rifle range and you're trying to get around on a target down the range. I mean, there's 5 things that have to come together: your stance, your grip, target picture, trigger pull, all those things to get around down range. If you don't keep doing that, then you lose your effectiveness. It's the same thing with listening. It's a very perishable skill if you don't use it. And again, this is why most of us don't listen. It's hard. It's other-centered. It's not about you. It's counterintuitive. And it requires learning a set of behaviors that we're not tuned into. But once we get it, man, it's powerful. It can be incredibly powerful. Thank you for the question. It's really good.
David, thank you. This
Oh
is
my gosh,
powerful
my
stuff. Yeah, let's hear it for David again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Definitely know I need to practice some of this. I can't wait to go home and try it on my husband and see what he thinks. I hope he wasn't watching this morning. Thank you. This is good stuff. I hope you all will take this home as well and take it to your offices, take it around the community. I think we can all stand to be better listeners, and I think we could make an incredible impact on the world we live in if we do just that. So thank you, David. Thank you again to our sponsors this morning, Landscape Design Services, United Bank, and Smith Hoy Rice and Rogie. Let's give them a hand one more time, please. And so this was our last Wake Up West Coast of this season. So Wake Up West Coast won't be back again until the fall. But we do have Leadership Month coming up. So a lot of really cool things happening in the month of May. So next month, instead of Wake Up West Coast, we will be at Engedi Church for our Leadership Live program on May 8th at 11 a.m. It's going to be a really great speaker, a cool program. I hope you can all join us on that day. And then following that will be our Community Impact Day, returning on May 13. We are going to have a huge turnout this year. And so if you have not gotten signed up yet, please come join us to make a positive impact. What's really cool is not only is that happening in our community, it is happening across the country. Part of our Chamber of the Year application last year that we were recognized for as Chamber of the Year was Community Impact Day. And a lot of other chambers across the country have adopted it as well. So come be a part of this movement. Let's make some waves. Let's make some cool things happen. So I hope to see you all there. All right, that's it. The sun's still shining. Try and beat the rain, but stay and mingle if you'd like. Thank you all for being here. Have an awesome day.